Chapter 6. A Road, the Soldiers, and a Fox. When the trees had thickened so badly that he had to squeeze through their trunks just to get any further, the woods ended and there was a road. It was remarkably paved, with nearly every stone being pressed in a specific spot and in such a specific way that each stone fit in with the stones beside it. Alexander got on his knees to examine this craftsmanship even closer, and he was pleased to find that the stones were so well fit that they didn't press into his knees and leave nasty indents in his skin, and they were also pretty clean too. So he was examining this wonderful road, which would never have existed in his old village, when 4 soldiers rode upon him, or rode upon him, or whatever it is when 4 grown men on horses are traveling on a wonderful road, and they happen to see a young boy kneeling in the distance, and they continue traveling until they reach the same place. And they also pulled out their swords. On the opposite side of the woods was a giant field which Alexander would run through in just a few moments. And the field was a farm which grew corn, or maybe a food that is indigenous to Italy. And it was high enough that he could hide in it when the soldiers were finished questioning him. It was good that the fox stole his bag then, because the road was straight sideways anyway, and wasn't leading quite opposite of the Demon Mountain. "Who goes there?" one of the soldiers cried out, except he didn't cry with tears, and it didn't sound like a question. "I am Alexander," said Alexander. "And what is your goal in kneeling upon our wonderful road and examining it?" a different soldier also asked without asking. "Perhaps it is mischief," said a third. "Nope," shrugged Alexander. "I'm just looking, no goal, and certainly no mischief." The 4th soldier laughed a very fake laugh. "Huh! Murderers do not murder, and thieves do not thief," he uttered wisely. "Liars do not lie, and surely you are up to no mischief." That makes no sense, Alexander reasoned, but by then the soldiers were moving forward towards them. One of them, the farthest one away, even raised his blade. He probably raised his blade because he felt bad about being the furthest away, and therefore least likely to participate in anything about to happen to the boy. So he raised his blade to feel like he had contributed. Probably. But then, the fox leapt out from the field and held tightly to Alexander's knapsack with its mouth, and leapt back into the field. It was very quick, and Alexander had to leap after it very quickly in order to follow it. This was fortunate, because there was a sword in the place where he had been just after he had leapt. And then the corn or indigenous crops were so tall that the soldiers lost sight of him and continued on their way down the wonderful road. Chapter 7. Where the chase led him. Despite all of the magical things in the knapsack, Alexander leapt so quickly after it because of the ruined letter his mother had once written him. He also suffered from terrible anxiety sometimes, and the smooth stone helped him relax and collect his thoughts better. He knew his life would be over if he lost either one, so he leapt so quickly. The fox ran slowly, and the reason for this was that it had an entire knapsack worth of supplies in its mouth, so Alexander was able to keep up. Leaf after leaf hit him in his arms and face and cut him. Or maybe they weren't leaves, but whatever they were called, they were sharp. And maybe they didn't cut him, but it felt like it anyway. And when Alexander soon grew tired of the chase, they were suddenly in a clearing in the middle of the crops, and there was a campfire where the fox headed towards. A girl sat near the fire, and Alexander watched as the fox dropped his knapsack at her feet. And when she turned to look at him, he lost his breath for an entirely different reason. Chapter 8. The Girl. "Well, well," she strutted. "What do we have here?" "I am Alexander," he said, all the while trying to catch his breath and stand tall and look as impressive and handsome as he could. "Okay," she said. The knapsack was in her hand, and she opened it up and began to dig through the stuff. "Hey!" he cried out, moving towards her, but she just jumped backwards and held the bag over the fire. He pulled his hand back as quickly as if it had been burned. "That's what I thought," she said. After looking through his bag, she smiled approvingly. "We can sell most of this stuff and be able to eat for 7 days," she informed him. "I don't know who you are," he admitted, "and I just ate last night. I need the stuff in that bag." "For what?" she asked. "You didn't steal this from the guards on the road?" "No!" he cried out without tears. Those things are mine, and your fox stole it from me, and I still don't know who you are. My name is not important, she said, but you can call me. She thought about it. Giving yourself a cool nickname is an important moment for most young people. Bridget, the Scale Slayer who saved the world twice. I'm not calling you that, he confessed. Fine, she sighed. Then just Bridget is fine, I guess. She looked like she was in her 18th anniversary. Alexander couldn't help but notice the way he felt when she pouted. Nah, he said. He looked around the clearing. There wasn't much to help his imagination. I'll call you Foxfire, he said. And when she smiled, he was very glad he hadn't gone off towards the Demon Mountain. Chapter 9. How he joined Foxfire's adventure. But you just stole from me, he said. Why would you have given me any of the food you got from selling this stuff? Oh, she shrugged. Obviously, I was here when Trix took your bag. You kind of looked like a thief, so I figured you had to have gotten this from one of the guards on the road. I'm not a bad person. I would have split the profits with you. But you held it over the fire, he said. And also, did you nickname your fox too? No, she rolled her eyes. That's her real name. Who nicknames their pet? Can I have my bag back? Alexander asked politely. She handed it back to him, and now they were friends. Where are you going? She asked him. He looked at her cute boots and the way her back bent when she sat down next to the fire. This was a good chance for him to say something flirty. I'm going wherever you're going. Great, she said. We're going to kill the king. And she was serious, too. Are you serious? Alexander asked. Yep. Are you in or out? He reached into his bag and felt the smooth stone. He rubbed it with his thumb. He felt a little better. Sure, he said. In. Great. Chapter 10. The farmer is loyal to the king. The farmer, who was loyal to the king, happened upon the clearing that very night. You see, Trix the fox would visit the farmer's hen house each night to steal one for her master, or owner, or whatever. Together, Foxfire and Trix would dine on chicken, or hen, or whatever, and that had been going on for nearly 3 nights already. So this night, he, who was the farmer, followed the fox back to the clearing, and in his hand he had a gun, and he was also loyal to the king, but that wasn't why he threatened to shoot the kids. He was just protecting what was his. And Alexander and Foxfire and Trix respected the farmer's threats and ran away from the field towards the road. But as they became closer, they could see a faint glow of torchlight, which meant that guards were patrolling. So they ran sideways through the crops and into another field. The new field did not have the cover of crops, and even though Alexander did not like the way the leaves had felt when they were cutting his skin, he preferred them now. The field was filled with these wooden panels that they would have been able to hide behind were they, the panels, not hoisted above the ground on stilts to about their waists level. They were beehives, unnaturally. And as they ran past the hives, Foxfire would stop to cut off pieces of honeycomb. The bees were not loyal to the king, but they were loyal to the queen. This wasn't the reason why they stung her, though. They were just protecting what was theirs. And then they were in the woods again, but a different woods from before, and the farmer didn't chase them any further. In fact, he had stopped chasing them at the clearing, but they made the right decisions anyway.